In this video, I'm going to talk about electrifying your entire home. The first question you might ask is, why would I want to electrify my entire house? We want to electrify our homes to move away from fossil fuels. So let's talk about the different appliances that we have to replace. In my home, we have the dryer, the water heater, our furnace, stove, fireplace. We have a gas connection outside in our backyard. And finally, at the end, I'll talk about electric cars. So when we first moved into this house, we had a gas dryer and it was powered by a 120 volt outlet, but it was using natural gas to create heat to dry our clothes. So one of the first things I did was to replace the washer and dryer and to get a new LG washer and electric dryer. So our electric dryer uses a 240 volt outlet, and luckily our garage has a 240 volt outlet, so that was pretty straightforward. I had Home Depot come in and remove our old dryer, and they hooked up our new dryer to the 240 volt outlet. There's another technology that you can use to replace your dryer, and that's a heat pump dryer. In our first home in Northern California, it was an older home and it did not have a vent to exhaust the gas from our dryer. So I was kind of wondering, well, how do we dry our clothes without a vent to vent out the dryer exhaust? So I did some research and found that heat pump dryers are meant to address this need, to where you can dry your clothes, but you don't need a dryer vent. And one of the cool things about a heat pump dryer is that it uses heat pump technology to dry your clothes. The second appliance that you can replace with an electric version is your water heater. So traditionally, at least here in California, every house that I've lived in, there's a water heater, and it uses natural gas to heat a flame, to spark a flame, and then heat your water and then stores it so you can use it to run your dishwasher, wash your clothes, or to take warm showers. And you can replace this with electric versions of a water heater, but I'm going to concentrate because the technology is relatively new. They also have heat pump water heaters, and everything heat pump uses the same technology. There's a compressor, there's a refrigerant, and there's heat exchangers that basically absorb heat from a certain place and then transfers it and uses it to where you want to. So in the water heater's case, you're basically taking the heat from the garage or wherever your water heater is, and it absorbs that heat, and through the refrigerant inside the water heater, it transfers it inside to heat up the water. Most heat pump water heaters are called hybrid water heaters. So for the most part, it'll use the heat pump and the compressor to heat the water, but in times of high demand, say like in the morning when everybody's taking a shower, or if you're washing clothes and running to the dishwasher and taking a shower at the same time, heat pump water heaters also have electrical resistance tubes inside there, to where it will use electricity to heat up those resistance tubes and kind of use that to boost the heating of the heat pump water heater. Your standard electrical water heaters, this is what they use. They use electrical resistance to heat the water inside the tank. But for heat pump water heaters, they're used as a secondary means of heating the water. The third thing in our garage that we can switch out with an all-electric version is our furnace. So this is the industry that I work in. I work as a sales engineer in the HVAC industry, and we sell heat pumps, which basically is an air conditioner that can run in reverse, so it can provide cooling or heating. The cool thing about heat pumps is that they're a lot more efficient, and they can remove the need for a furnace because you can run the system in reverse and use it to heat the home. So the way air conditioners work, basically it's a method of transferring heat from where you want it to where you don't want it. So in the summertime, when your house is warm during the summer, your air conditioning system will cycle the air and run it through a DX coil where it will absorb all the heat that's inside your house and then transfer it to a refrigerant, and it runs it to the outside condenser that's on the side of your house. And then there's a compressor inside there. It compresses the vapor back into a liquid, and then the cycle repeats all over again. So that's how it works in the summertime. It takes the heat from your home and it transfers it outside. The cool thing about heat pumps is that you can reverse this cycle, and you can take, in the wintertime, you can take the heat that's outside and transfer it where you want it to be, which is inside your home during the wintertime. Now you may ask yourself, that doesn't make that much sense. Like, is there enough heat in the winter to heat my home? Is there enough heat to extract during the wintertime at nighttime to transfer it into your home? And the answer to that is yes. There's a lot of actual heat that is outside in the wintertime that you can extract it and transfer it inside. So heat pumps get a bad rap. When the technology was first introduced, they weren't that efficient. They were susceptible to freezing their coils in the wintertime. The technology has progressed in a way that we have ways to defrost the coil. Heat pumps have become a lot more efficient at extracting the heat from the wintertime outside at night and then transferring it into the home. And they've just become a lot more efficient in terms of taking the energy that they're given in terms of electricity and using that energy to run a compressor and extract heat and transferring it inside. Moving inside, the next appliance that you can replace with an electric version is your stove. So when you think about electric stoves, there's two types that come to mind. There's your standard electric resistance stove. If you rent an apartment or buy a relatively cheap stove like at a Home Depot or a Best Buy, you'll be familiar with these. It's those round coils that when you turn it on, they glow red. I know the cheaper ones, they have the actual heating element, like exposed, that you put your cookware on top of. With the one that we have, it's underneath the glass. And same idea, you turn it on, electricity runs through those coils, heats it up, and that's how you cook. But there's another technology that I'm gonna upgrade to once we're able to, and it's called an induction stove. So when you put that on an induction stove, the magnetic force kind of agitates the molecules inside of your pan, and that vibration actually creates heat, and that's how you cook using an induction stove. And I think this is one of the coolest parts of an induction stove is that if you're familiar with a standard electric stove, it gets really hot because basically you're heating up the coils and it radiates out. With an induction stove, there is no heat. You're just basically creating a magnetic field. And I've seen demonstrations where somebody puts down like a $20 bill onto their stove and then heats a pot of water and starts to boil it. And you can see that the water starts to boil, but the dollar bill or the money doesn't burn because there is no heat. It's just the heat is being generated by the magnetic field. And this is one of the benefits of using an induction stove is that there is no radiated heat. So once you're done cooking, you can just wipe it down clean, and it's completely cool to the touch. I know with our electric stove, you kind of have to wait before you can clean it because the top is still hot. With an induction stove, that's not the case. And that's I think one of the biggest benefits to using an induction stove. They're also a lot faster at boiling water. There's tons of videos where they compare the speed at which an induction stove boils water versus a natural gas versus a standard electric range. And the induction always wins every time. And then finally, depending on how your home is set up, I know in our home we have a gas connection at our fireplace, and we also have a gas connection in our backyard to hook up a barbecue. I haven't done too much research on replacing fireplaces, but I do know that electric fireplaces exist. At first I thought they were kind of cheesy, but now looking at it, it kind of makes sense. Sometimes people love the aesthetic or the feeling that a fireplace brings. And They have electric fireplaces that kind of replicate that, but using electricity. There are options to do that. As for the backyard, I know there are pellet grills and electric grills that you can use to barbecue outside. I have to do a little bit more research when it comes time for us to make that switch, but I do know just from really quick searching that those electrical options do exist. I can go on forever because a lot of this stuff really excites me. Probably one of the last things I'll talk about in this video is your car. We have two cars and one of them is an EV. We have a Tesla Model 3. And when it comes to charging at home, I plan to do a whole other video because that does involve a lot of different things. There's tons of videos out there, but I'm going to make a video based off of my experience on charging and then how to charge at home. So be sure to subscribe to see that video when it comes out next. And I plan to tackle that in depth in that next video. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to electrify your entire home. I'm certainly excited to continue the process to electrify my home, and I'll document that as I go along. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Leave a like if you like this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you. I don't even have my damn microphone.